Oh, how I used to roam these halls with the likes of sons from Ted Montoya, Bob McBride, and Bill Seago. The older senators called us terrorists. We just called ourselves troublemakers. But right up there on the third floor was where my dad's office used to be. And I used to page, and I used to sit in committees. And as an adult, people say, how do you know so much? Well, I guess you used to like hanging out with my dad. But my dad loved this place, but not because of the powers the governor said, but because he was actually surrounded by tons of young senators that wanted to make a difference in New Mexico. So Governor, thank you so much for your kind words. Richard, Reverend Nick, thank you so much for your kind words today. Today we celebrate not a political career. We celebrate a legacy of his accomplishments that he made together. As you guys heard earlier, my dad always gave credit to other people. From my mom, to his staff, to the people that was just around him. As state senator and as governor, as you heard, he fought for underrepresentation. That's my father's legacy. You know, but what astonished me more as a kid growing up is here's this 28-year-old guy becomes a state senator in Las Cruces who happens to be Latino. And he represents for 8 years a majority white Republican district. That tells you a lot who my dad was. When he became governor, he became one of the youngest governors in the history in our state. He was 40. You know, I used to laugh about that because when he was governor, I always knew he was 40. But I just assumed this young governor had these elder statesmen around him. And it wasn't until a few years ago, Nick, when the legislature was honoring Nick Franklin. And I happened to be sitting next to my dad and my mom, and it was Nick's 75th birthday. And that's when it hit me. Holy cow. My 40-year-old dad was the old guy in the group. My dad's staff in his first cabinet positions, folks, they were 28 to 40 years of age. This young generation wanted to give back, make a difference in New Mexico. They followed the vision of this young, energetic, visionary guy named Jerry Apodaca. As you heard today, as governor, he appointed Latinos, women, blacks, minorities for the first time in leadership roles in the state of New Mexico, what New Mexico has never seen before. Now, you heard some of the successes, but I'm going to list it. Because back then, you could only serve 4 years. Now, let's be very frank. My dad would tell me I would love to have 4 more years. But because of term limits, they knew we were only here for 4 years. Let's get to work and get stuff done. That's what they're focused on. You heard about him reorganizing. My dad cut government waste by $300 million annually. That's about $1 billion a year today. He streamlined 395 agencies and commissions that was government waste into 12 cabinet positions. As you heard, he established kindergarten, 2-year community colleges, trade schools. Every year, teachers got annual raises. It's not a surprise that Governor Richardson listed his name on the educational building. On that point, Governor Richardson probably made the greatest comment I've ever heard about my father. Jerry Apodaca was Latino before it was cool to be Latino. As governor, his administration, check this out. They cut taxes, created tax credits, tax rebates, and created a new tax system. Holy cow, Governor, these guys are Democrats. He was very involved in the Commission of Status of Women. And what you don't know is he actually chaired and started the Western States Oil and Gas Association during the oil embargo, because New Mexico and our surrounding states became leaders in getting us out of the OPEC issues of the 70s. Why President Carter loved us so much. And by the way, that oil and gas industry excels today and is bringing billions of dollars to New Mexico today and is 42% of our economy. As he left office, he continued his passion on helping people. He joined corporate boards, but one of the things he saw is no people of color. He saw no women, no minorities at C-level positions or in corporate jobs. So for the next 20 years, he focused with Fortune 500 companies, creating community outreach programs, job training programs for Hispanics and women and for minorities to open up C-level positions. He worked with companies like Coors, McDonald's, AT&T, Coca-Cola, Anheuser-Busch. And in 1986, him and some other business leaders got together and they started HACED, the Hispanic Association of Corporate Responsibility, an organization that makes sure there's representation in our corporate America. And not only in C-level positions, but ownership of our own jobs. That organization still exists today. Not only did my dad change people's lives, he also created community. And he reached out because he knew in those corporate lives that would create generational wealth. And he knew generational wealth is the difference that will improve our community.